Hey guys, so today Alyssa couldn't be with us. I'm taking the spot of Alyssa, and we're talking about some pretty interesting stuff today. What are we talking about, Allison?
So today, a couple of peers and I went to Monroe to go listen in on the Go Teach, and that is basically just an LDE, correct?
Correct.
And yeah, it was super interesting. So yeah.
So we went to District 3's District LDE competition today, and we had, our advisor was judging one of the competitions, so we just went along, and we were some of the students for the Go Teach event, and we saw some pretty cool things. We had a variety of different activities that went on. Very vaguely describe, what was your favorite activity that we went through today, Allison?
So describing this as vaguely as possible, I would say hazmat suit.
We got to wear a hazmat suit. It was everything. It was one of those hazmat suits where it's like disposable.
Right.
It took everything I had not to bust out laughing. I even cracked like a little dad joke while we were putting it on. We had like fake boots and like a hairnet and everything.
Yes.
And I was like, is this like a one size fits all? Or
We took an extra one for Mr. Riley as well.
we did. We took family pictures.
We did. It was so sweet. Post-apocalyptic. Check the Instagram for those results.
Might I just say, today felt like I was in like a parallel universe. Not only was I not in school on a school day, but we were at a random, like we were just in a place that I'm not normally at, and the weather was a little bit weird. This entire summer, it's been really just dry, no rain, no fog, not even a slight drizzle. And so today it was just kind of like foggy and rainy and drizzly in a place that I didn't know, a place I wasn't supposed to be, doing something that I'd never done before. I kind of felt like I was in a movie. I remember we were like walking out of this really fancy building that had never existed in my mind world before. And I was like, and the bell was like chiming, like the big church bell was like ding, ding. And I was like, it feels like we're in like a parallel universe, like a movie right now.
I even mentioned that I felt like it was in Napoleon Dynamite because that's one of the 3 movies that featured the official dress.
What other movies feature the official dress, Allison?
Paris, Texas, Charlotte's Web, and Napoleon Dynamite are the only 3 ever that feature the FFA official dress.
I think Napoleon Dynamite is one of my favorite movies.
Definitely.
It is just iconic, like a classic. Today we were definitely Napoleon Dynamiting. Just FFAing it up. Another one of my favorite activities was we got to play with some Play-Doh, and the way it like was set up, I was like trying, it was like we only needed a little bit of Play-Doh, and so we had like the little Play-Doh dealies, and I couldn't open them up. The entire time I was just like bending my fingernails backwards, and she was like, all right, it looks like everyone's ready to move on to the next activity. And I was sitting there, I was like, no,
it was so stressful.
I can't open it.
It was so stressful, but it was so fun.
That was one of my favorite activities.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, no, wait, I can't open it. I was also like very afraid that I was going to get the Play-Doh mixed up. And so I was like, I feel like I made some really weird facial expressions while I was doing that activity, because at one point I like dropped the Play-Doh. I was like, it was just a really, really weird. We also got to very fun. We got to,
Relatively speaking,
there was at one point we were up in like a balcony, and the windows were windows for us, but for the people outside they were like mirrors, and so people came by, they were like checking out their reflection, and then they realized
pictures.
We were in there, and they started cackling. They thought it was hilarious, and we were sitting there like holding back laughter, like,
because we were watching someone present their Go Teach, and these people were just like opening the door.
They were opening the door. The moment they realized it was a window, what are those called?
Two-way mirror?
Maybe?
Yeah.
A two-way mirror. The moment they realized it was a two-way mirror, the look on their faces was priceless.
Because they would all like be right next to us and then jump back.
And the way it was set up, it was like the speaker facing away from like the windows, and so then it was like us facing towards the windows. They would only see
us and the judges.
So we saw like all the expressions of the people outside, and we were trying to keep a neutral face for the person who was presenting their lesson, but it was just so hard because people were like, and it was just so funny. What else happened?
We went to Canes.
We did go to Canes.
As always.
Allison wanted to walk. We actually got to keep the hazmat suits. Allison wanted to walk into Canes with the hazmat suits.
Good thing we did it because they were taking a school JAG trip. I think it was like Lincoln Parish.
I don't know what.
But it was like.
Canes was packed.
Stacked. Like
needless to say, if we would have walked in there with hazmat suits, we probably would have ran the place out. And it was packed.
Yeah. And then, like, within 10 minutes, they were all gone. Like, it was empty, ghost town.
That's another thing that made it feel like an alternate universe today. Like, we were just around tons of people, and then it was just, like, a ghost Canes. Like, no one was in there.
Yeah.
Within, like, 10 minutes. You wouldn't think that many people could clear out of a Canes that quickly.
It was really quick.
It was lightning speedy.
Yeah. Then we went to a coffee shop.
The coffee shop was pretty good.
Yeah. My coffee was really sweet though, so.
Mine was pretty good. Mine had like little pieces of like chocolate chips in it. Right. And I don't know why, but I like the texture in like a cold like coffee. I like the texture of that.
Right. So then we talked to Mr. Riley and we were like, so where are we going to wear these hazmat suits? Like, we all got one. We even got him one.
You talked to Mr. Riley and you were like, where am I going to get to wear my hazmat suit?
So he drove us around town like a crazy person and took us to this river. And he was like, all right, we're taking pictures here. So we all got out like at this abandoned place and we took a bunch of pictures. Again, look in our Instagram. Check it out. FFA.
At one point, we had to like walk up a hill and it had a bunch of dried grass on it. And because we had like the fake boots on, we kept on like slipping. I remember walking down was really scary. Yeah. I was kind of like teetering down. I could feel my boots like slipping with every step. I was like, any moment, I'm going to wipe out.
I also did a slow-mo of me rolling down the hill.
I didn't know you rolled down the hill.
You didn't see that video?
Mm-mm.
Check it out.
What else did we do?
We drove home.
The drive home was kind of interesting. Okay.
So, JJ, I have a question. How did today, like, change your view of FFA, agriculture and education?
Well, I think one thing that I genuinely took from it, we walk into a classroom with pretty much any teacher, and especially our ag teachers, and the lesson just flows so well. There might be a few hiccups along the way, but overall, it's a really engaging lesson, and we do learn a lot. And it wasn't until we went behind the scenes today and saw how those teachers start, how they begin, or how they maybe set up the lesson, that I saw how much truly goes into a lesson. So, right. You know, when you see like a professional doing something, they make it look easy and you're like, oh, I could do that. Like you look at like a professional welder and they're just like, and you're like, I could do that. But then you see someone like yourself, you know, go and they do that to the best of their ability. And they're probably even better than you. And, you know, they like, it's just so much more different from what the professional does that you're like, wow, that was a lot more difficult than I realized it was. There's a lot more that goes into it than I originally realized. And so I think it was really eye-opening today. And I think it was also very encouraging to know that like you don't have to be good at, just because you're not good at something immediately. A lot of times we see people who have done something for years and you're like, well, if I don't perform at that level immediately, then I'm just no good. I think it was a kind of, everyone starts somewhere, and then I think it was also an eye-opening experience where you get to see what goes into classroom preparation, what are like the basics of a lesson, and how like what goes into engaging and teaching a class of multiple different people, because everyone learns differently. So we had some teachers who taught from a screen and then they did a quiz. We had some teachers who started off with a quiz and then they taught. We had some teachers who did a lesson or an activity while they were teaching. We had some teachers who went and we had like a field trip during our lesson, and that was the lesson. So we got to see all kinds of different ways that people can teach and just kind of what goes on and the depth of what our ag teachers do every day.
Right. So I just want to add, like, guys, thank your ag teachers. Like, they put in so much hard work and preparation for every lesson. Like, you would not imagine how hard it is to, like, watch someone do like a presentation. It's amazing. Like, a good ag teacher is the difference.
Mm-hmm. So we have to ask a question that has never been asked before on the podcast.
On the podcast.
Do you have one right off the top of your head, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, so my question is, JJ, would you take a mansion, like someone is like, okay, I'll give you this mansion, but you must do all the repairs entirely by yourself, and you can't get any help from anyone but YouTube. And if you do not do that, then you have to, like, leave the house immediately. Like, you can't. You're gonna be homeless.
Oh my gosh. Well, going back to what I talked about today, like when you see a professional doing something, a lot of times it looks easy. But then when someone like yourself tries to do it, you realize that there's a lot more that goes into it than what you initially realize. I think our professionals that like work on our plumbing and everything, they are so knowledgeable about that kind of thing. I would not be able to replicate it with my own skill, even if I had the help of YouTube. So
Right.
I'd have to say that deal is a no for me. I definitely don't want to take that risk. And a mansion is a lot to clean and take care of anyway. So I feel like
True.
taking care of that mansion would be a full-time job that I wouldn't really like.
Well, you wouldn't need a job if you already have a mansion.
I know, but like taking care of the mansion would be my full-time job.
Yeah.
And it would not be a job that I enjoy. Okay, now my question to you. If, for example, there was this random planet and the whole entire planet was like Antarctica, and scientists were trying to see if that planet was habitable, and they basically made like these singular room like dorms basically, and it has a mini kitchen, a bed, and a bathroom area with like a sink and a toilet and a little shower. And the room was about a little bit bigger than your bedroom, and they delivered groceries to you through like space drones weekly. You got 5 apps of your choice on an iPad, 4 TV channels of your choice on a standard TV, and 10 books every month. And you had to be in there for 5 years. But if you went through with the basically test operation, you got $2 billion at the end of your 5 years. And you're basically just flying or like sitting on this planet the entire time in your little dorm. Would you do it?
I have one question.
Yes.
Before I answer. Are there windows?
There are windows.
Then yes.
Even like, since you're going to be like flying over the planet, you're going to have like a glass floor and everything.
Oh,
like
that's
if you
really cool.
want, you can make the whole thing glass so that you can just see 360.
Okay.
And if you don't want, you can do standard windows. You could do the floor window. You could do the ceiling window.
Yeah, I would. In the beginning, I would say no because I would get claustrophobic. But like, if I can have windows and unlimited books, TV shows, apps. Well,
It's not unlimited.
Yeah, no, not unlimited,
None of
but,
it's
like,
unlimited.
there is a limit, but
There's only so much they can provide.
yeah, I mean, they can provide $2 million.
$2 billion.
Billion with a
Let
B.
me tell y'all,
With a B.
a million seconds. Here's the difference. A million seconds is
What would I
11
do
days.
With $1 billion, I couldn't buy like the world for $2 billion.
A million seconds is 11 days. A billion seconds is like 30 plus years. A trillion seconds ago, the dinosaurs lived. That is the difference. So $2 billion.
I haven't been alive for 30 years.
You have not been alive for a billion seconds.
I haven't.
If you spent $1 for every
I haven't been alive
minute,
for half a billion seconds.
if you spent $1 for every minute that you lived, you still would not have spent $1 billion.
Right? Like,
that's a lot of money.
it is a lot of money, but even
But
if
you're
it was,
stuck in one room.
If it was 2 million, I would say
for
yes.
5 years.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, you could retire. You could certainly retire on that.
Mm-hmm.
Never have to go to school or work again.
So, yes is the answer to my question.
No is my answer to your question. That sounds awful. But that's it for today. We know this exit has been done before, but we're going to do it anyway, as request of the guest.
Deuces.